Hey, everybody. Welcome to Snapdown Wrestling. I am your host, Tommy Lynch. This was a big episode. We had huge technical difficulties getting started with this thing. First of all, I left my equipment out in the sun all day, so there goes that, and had to use other equipment, but that took some time to put together. So here we are, barring technical difficulties, technology. You got to love it. But more than that, you got to love the fact that we had a state championship this weekend, the Rhode Island Interscholastic League state championship. A lot of guys showed up, more than they expected. They expected somewhere around 250. Over 300 something showed up, and it was one hell of a state tournament. A lot of great wrestling, a lot of upsets as usual and predicted. A lot of surprises, some expected things happen, but we got a great show with us tonight. We have quite a panel with us. We have Serge Boysu. We have Eric Francis from Mount Hope, who actually won the state championship this year. In fact, I'll run down the standings with Mount Hope winning it this year at 197. Bishop Hendricken coming in second at 176. Pontigansett at 167. Pontigansett was a huge favorite, beating Hendricken and Mount Hope. I was there. It was a try actually with us, Pontigansett, Bishop Hendricken, but beating Mount Hope by 3. I believe the score was 36-33 or 39-36, one or the other. But yeah, kind of the big favorite going into it. It's kind of up in the air between those three on what was going to happen any given day, who was going to rise to the top, and it was Mount Hope and North Kingston coming in the 4th slot. Hope coming in the 5th spot, which so funny. Ed German, head coach of Hope, actually said he saw himself in the 5 spot. This is way back before we didn't even realize or think that we were going to have a season. You had Coventry coming in at number 6 at 122, and Cranston West, my team, coming in at 7. Cumberland at 8. So we were in at 7 at 91.5 points. Cumberland 79.5 points. Charahoe 57, and in 10th place, making the top 10 is Burrillville with 50. But in that number 1 spot is Mount Hope. By the way, we also have Hayden Myers with us tonight, the 120-pound state champion, who's also an All-American as well this year, making the cut and making top 8 at the Nationals. So he is All-American, but the 120-pound state champion. He's with us tonight, and that was one of the big upsets. Maybe not for him. Maybe this was part of his plan all along. But if you have things down on paper and you try to see things on paper, it was, in my opinion, an upset, and in my opinion, also one of the most exciting matches of the night. So let's bring my good friend, my longtime friend, Eric Francis, in from the studio lounge and talk about Mount Hope last year, this year, and what happened. Eric, how are you, buddy?
Oh, doing great, my friend.
I'll bet.
One of the guys who taught me how to wrestle when I first started off. You got a lot of experience, buddy.
Yeah, no, thanks. For those of you who don't know, but pretty much everybody knows, Eric and I wrestled together back in the day, coming through from junior high school to high school to the Freestyle and Greco team, the USA Team USA Rhode Island wrestling all over the country.
Those little tight singlets we had back in the day.
They were so high up. They didn't, now they're like down to the thighs and everything, but they were just really so high up. But
believe it or not, Tommy, I wore that singlet down in New York when I wrestled at 34. I still fit in it. It was a little scary, but I did it.
I can't believe you actually tried to put that on and actually succeeded in putting that on. See, back then it was the travel team was basically Bristol and a few other guys from throughout the state, with so of course some Coventry guys, but you had myself, Danny Smith, Kenny Pluff, Nunzio Riccio, who's our assistant coach now, and then of course all of Bristol, which was Lima and Medeiros, and you can help me out going down the list.
There's a ton of them. It was a whole ton of guys. I mean, honestly, Dave Kemmy, it was a great guy. He was the head of the USA Wrestling for Rhode Island, and I was fortunate enough to have an old football coach from Papuana who yoked me up and said I had anger management issues and I needed to wrestle. Got me involved in it, and I've never left the mat since I was in 8th grade.
Wow.
So I was very fortunate. Dave, did a lot for us and traveled all over the country. We got to wrestle with the Russian national team for 2 years. He did a lot for the sport back then.
Yeah. Yeah, he really did. But that was our year-round wrestling. I mean, we went from, folk style, state championship to right into wrestling freestyle all through the summer.
Greco, and traveled, out to Iowa, got to travel all over the country. It's definitely a great opportunity for us.
Missouri, Michigan, not to mention the Northeast Regionals and Pennsylvania, wrestling around with a few of those boys, and getting to wrestle with the Carrie Colats and the Rob Prebushes and the Hughes brothers. Now, remember those guys? Those guys, they were twins, farm boys, and they would always be in the finals, whether it's the Northeast Regional, Southeast Regionals, Nationals. You had, guys in there. The two brothers, twins, looked exactly the same, and they wouldn't wrestle each other. They'd be in the finals, and they would flip a coin. Their dad would make them flip the coin.
That was annoying. That was very annoying.
It really was. I was like, oh, my God, you're in the finals. Just let them wrestle. We want to see. They look the same. They wrestle the same, so let's see who it is. But they wouldn't allow it. And, Ray Brinza. Remember Ray Brinza, 14, 15 years old, kid, had a full beard, carried around a Gumby doll with him because it was good luck. Ended up wrestling for Iowa for Gable.
Yeah, he had the Gumby doll in his corner sometimes for his coach.
Yeah.
It was him. I think it was Pat Lynch from down New York and New Jersey. We got to see him all. It was a good time.
Yeah. Anyway, we can go on and on about the history of Eric and I. But more recently and in the present, state champion.
Yep, been a long time coming, actually. Being fortunate enough to have coached. I had gone to Rhode Island College, found out I had a kid on the way, so I turned to coaching. Was fortunate enough to get an assistant job working over at Bristol High School. So we're involved with a few years. We were runner-ups there, and then I went to a year with Warren before the Mount Hope merger, because my uncle John Rogers actually coached over at Warren, and I was a Bristol wrestler, so I felt it would kind of help everybody merge together with no, the town rivalry kind of stuff you had going on back then. It all worked out. We went to Mount Hope, and we had a long run at number 2, always behind Coventry, and it was nice seeing this year actually coming into the state finals the Coventry way, coming in the back door with the guys down low. It's a good feeling. Right. We did it
absolutely amazing. I remember at the beginning of the season talking with you. Eric and I, talk all the time, throughout the season and in the off season as well. As I said, we're good friends through the years. And you'd stated, I hope we have a season because I think we could win it. That's what he said. And I said, well, first you have to get through me. And of course, with Cranston West, we lost most of our starters to baseball, lacrosse, and track, but that happens. And, last year I said, how many seniors you graduate? And I think you said none. So I was like, okay, maybe you might have a shot.
A little shot.
Pull it off. But I mean, again, well-deserved, man. and long awaited. A couple of close calls along the way. And you can talk about those. And I remember,
excuse me.
There was a disqualification that happened that took it away. And
we had a couple of years we were within a few points. I know even when I was in high school, I think my senior year we were 3rd in the state, and it all came down to it was within 10 points. All 3 teams. It was always disappointing. It always seemed like we had somebody who just had a rough day that we were expected to do well. Going into one year, we finished. I think we had four finalists. They all were state champs. We needed one guy to place fifth or sixth to win the championship. Didn't happen. Yeah, that was a heartbreaker. We had another year where one of the guys, I don't know what really was the real reason, but normally try to teach good sportsmanship, and something got a little crazy in the match. He started punching the kid in the leg. Ended up losing his points. I believe that year we lost by half a point. So there were a lot of close calls, a lot of crazy things that happened. And throughout the whole year, we just preached good sportsmanship, doing the best you can do. If you're capable of placing fifth place, why would you quit? Why would you stop thinking that I'm not going to win it? And a lot of the kids bought into that mindset. And I think that's what really helped coming into the wrestlebacks in the tournament. They all believed that they could place, and they went out and got pins where they could. That was huge for us.
Yeah, just you had a lot of guys in the finals. You had a lot of guys place, and you had two guys in the finals, right?
Yep, two guys in the finals, and
but,
we brought 13. I believe we placed 11.
Brought 13, placed 11. Yeah,
That'll do it.
How many third place finishes did you have?
I'd have to look it up. I'm still staring at the trophy over here and trying to figure out how it really happened. It's nuts.
Right. I mean, listen, Coventry, 106, 113, 120. They were the first three.
Yep.
And I think that one more.
When I looked at it, I really thought between Coventry and Pontigansett, they were going to dominate, the lower weights, for the top couple of guys. I really was looking at it that way. I mean, you had some North Kingston guys that would fall into that mix there. Middleweights, I mean, it was hard. Like our lower weight guys, I knew they could. It was going to be an either or. They had close matches with Coventry guys. One of our guys beat the Coventry guy at 26, ended up losing, but he still stayed in the tournament to wrestle back.
Right.
It was one of those things where they knew that some of the matches could go either way. I really did think Coventry and Pontigansett down low were going to give everybody fits. We had to keep the guys realizing that they'd have a lot of people have guys in the finals, but we would have everybody for third and fourth, fifth and sixth. You get wins there, you get pins there, your advancement points, your quality win points. That's what really had won a lot of state championships in the past. We kept preaching that. Don't give up. We had one kid dislocate his shoulder. I slid it in most of the way. The trainer come running over. She put it in the rest of the way. And I told him he wasn't going to wrestle. He told me he was fine. I asked the trainer if he could wrestle. She said he's clear.
I was standing right there. I was standing right there with Bone, my assistant, and we couldn't believe it. We were like, that's like, what a tough kid.
Yeah, his dad was a wrestler for us back in the day. He was one of the few guys who would do a north to south bridge all the way up in the air. The kid would slam him back down to the mat, and he'd come back up.
Right.
So I knew the kid was tough, but he went back out there down by 5 or 6 points and gets the pin for us.
He did. Big. I know. I continued obviously watching that match because someone had said, "Oh, that he's done. That's broken. That's broken." Had to walk away, and then when he went to roll over, I heard a little pop, and it just popped back in, and to go back out there and wrestle was just amazing. I mean, you had one champion, and in fact, a 3-time champion.
Yep.
Corey Grifka, a 3-time champion, 4-time finalist, actually. So, and 2 in the finals. Pacheco lost. He was a runner-up. Well, he didn't lose. He was a runner-up. I mean, just making it to the finals is a win, no matter what. Just getting there is a huge accomplishment.
He's a sophomore who's not a year-round wrestler either. He's an outstanding football player for us. He came into the beginning of the year, actually missed the match against LaSalle and NK with a knee injury. We held him out. I mean, I didn't want to clear him right away, give him a chance to heal up from it. And he came in, and he was one of our top competitors the whole season.
Wow. Amazing accomplishment again with winning the state championship this year, with the competition that was there. And, coming in, a lot of the numbers were low. Some of the teams were affected and some were not. Pontigansett was not really affected so much. You were took a couple of hits, but not affected as much as some of the other teams. But you were prepared. Your team was together. You had them in the wings waiting, and everybody, no matter what, you'd come back out for wrestling, and they did, and they showed up, and Mount Hope won the state championship. It's huge, bro.
First time ever. Bristol, Warren, and Mount Hope. We've never had a state championship, so being involved in it and watching those kids accomplish something nobody else ever had was better than my state championship win back in the day. It made me feel much more happier than winning it for myself.
Right. Yeah, and I remember that you were a state champion in 1990 at 145 pounds, I think it was.
152, baby.
52. Okay.
Yeah, you were what, 135? I think
I was 35. Yeah, I won at 35. You won at 52.
We don't want to collide. No more collisions.
No,
no. You know, we don't want to have to hate each other for months. I want to kill each other.
We were too close because we trained together and we cut from the same cloth. And we coach from the same cloth. That's why, you know, it's a similar style. And when I see your wrestlers and my wrestlers, it's always a good match. You guys really took it to us this year. We beat you last year. So, you know, when I saw what you had out there, I was like, wow, dude, you might pull it off this year. So good luck. Great team. And you did it. And again, you know, congratulations for that. But definitely didn't want to collide with Eric Francis. I stayed low. He went up a little higher, got a little bit bigger. I got the OW that year, though, as well.
Yes, you did. I mean, I pinned my way through the tournament, but you still outshined me. The Bazine power just did it, baby.
The power of the Bazine. The power of the Bazine. And with that, we're going to just take a quick commercial break, and then we come back when I talk about the top 14 state champions this year. So hang in there. This is Snapdown Wrestling, powered by Fans Only Sports Network, and we will be right back.
Pharmaceutical company Prevacus says their new concussion medication Prevacol helps repair nerves and promote cell growth.
We can get the drug in the brain in less than 5 minutes. And our plan is when we get that diagnosis on the field of play, give the drug nasally, get it in the brain quickly. When it gets in the brain, it actually gets into the nucleus of your brain cells, and it reduces swelling, inflammation, and oxidative stress at the same time.
When Jake and I first talked about this many years ago, one of my first questions was, will this help me? And he goes, no, this is for treatment immediately when a concussion or you think a concussion has occurred.
Yeah.
The acute problems that exist later on in life, if we can take care of these at an early age and start getting some of these things to our children and grandchildren, you know, and I think we can make this game, our game, football, a safer place.
And so the whole goal is we're trying to make the game safer. And so Odyssey and this drug, we believe, can be a game changer in so many different ways. Yes, on the football field, in the game of football, because that's where my passion lies, but also in the game of life.
All right.
All right, just time to enter Snapdown Wrestling. I'm here. I'm sweating up a storm. We are like finals, getting ready. We're already going to consolation finals for 34th. The JV and freshmen already done. Cranston West did spectacular. Really proud of these guys. And just happy to be here. We'll kind of be checking in and definitely check in for the finals. Just time to enter Snapdown Wrestling.
Wow, the roving reporter. Who the hell was that guy? All right, just shut up. You have no idea what you're talking about. Okay. Good turnout for the States and great finals. Really, I mean, a couple of dominating final matches, but not so many. It was really good. It was a good finals. It was an exciting finals. And the 120 for me was the most the most exciting match for me. So top to bottom, 106 to 285 goes like this. Peyton Ellis from Coventry, 106-pound champion, 113. Nicholas Torres from Hope, 120. Hayden Myers from Coventry. He's in our lounge. He's a guest with us tonight. 126. Jason Hood from Pontigansett. 132, Gabriel Boysu from Scituate. 138, Tim Cook from Pontiac. 145, Aiden Zarella from North Kingston. 152, Jamari Lohman from Pontiac. 160, Aiden Farrier from Cumberland. 170, James Doherty from Charahoe. 182, Corey Grifka from Mount Hope. Again, 3-time state champion, 4-time finalist. 195, Nick Fine, also a 3-time state champion, 4-time finalist, and a 170 national champion this year. 220, John Felice from Hope. And 285, Adolfo Benegar from Bishop Hendricken. Wow. Quite a lineup. And I can't remember, Eric, the last time that we had 2 3-time state champions graduating in the same year.
That's no joke. I mean, especially these days. I mean, back when, like we were talking about, when we wrestled, there weren't a lot of guys like us that wrestled year round.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of clubs. I mean, I really saw it a lot throughout the whole state. I mean, the D3, D2 guys, you can tell they're getting deeper and deeper, even with the numbers not being up as much yet. Some of the smaller schools. I mean, there's a lot of positive things going on right now in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Very dominant wrestlers doing well throughout the nation.
And a lot of it stems from caring coaches and clubs that have popped up, like Iron Faith and Mayo Kwanji, which brings us to our next guest. A definite become a staple in the sport. He has done great things. And, I've done my homework and some of the crunching of the numbers. And Mayo Kwanji, this state championship, had 25 medalists and I believe like 10 finalists that go to that club. So without further ado, let's pull Serge up out of the lounge. A good friend. There he is.
How you guys doing?
Hey, Serge. How you doing, buddy?
Fantastic. Hey, congrats on winning as a team this year. That was great to see something different, right?
Thanks, Serge. I remember some good battles with all those Cranston West guys when I was at Somerset and we'd go to the Cranston West tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Producing guys back then that were there's some hammers in there.
Well, now we've switched a lot of our emphasis at Mayo Kwanji from judo to wrestling just because there hasn't been the opportunities for judo. And there's just so much more opportunity in wrestling for the kids. So we've kind of switched. Not that we're not doing judo anymore. We obviously are at a pretty good level. But, right now we're just concentrating on getting these kids where they need to go. We've been traveling around a lot with the kids that want to go to the national level and win there. Years back when we were kids, there really wasn't any opportunity for people like there is now. There is, 4 or 5 clubs or so in the state. You can train every day of the week. There's tournaments weekly. I've been trying to hit all the national tournaments. I didn't go to Super 32, but we went to like Tulsa and Reno, stuff like that. But it was real good. We had a successful year. And Rhode Island's on the map. Nobody cared about wrestling a Rhode Island guy at one time. People would be like, yeah, great. This is great. I got a Rhode Island guy. It'll be a good warm-up. And that's not the case anymore. And it's really good to see that just because you're from Rhode Island, we're the smallest state, doesn't mean that we can't compete. Look at Long Island and how many kids come off of Long Island. And we got a lot of great programs in the state of Rhode Island and great high schools. Look what you're doing over there. I mean, I don't know what the population is over there, but Mount Hope is always in the mix. That's something to be respected. And we need rivalries too.
It's funny that you say that too about Rhode Island not being respected. Tommy can attest to it. When we'd win a big tournament down in PA or Ohio, they'd say, you guys from Long Island are really tough. And we'd have to correct them and tell them it was from Rhode Island. So
that happens all the time. I travel around the world and nobody knows where Rhode Island is. You leave Rhode Island and you leave New England and people do not know where Rhode Island is.
They don't.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely amazing. I do remember that coming through and coming up where like they all thought we were from New York, and with the accent. I mean, it's close, but I mean, Rhode Island, I think, has their own accent.
So it's good to see these kids. I mean, you look at kids like Jacob Joyce and Hayden Myers going at it in the finals, both All-Americans. When do you see it multiple All-Americans going at it in Rhode Island. When in the past have we really had as many All-Americans as we do right now?
Never.
There is
the answer is never.
Number of kids. I started counting the All-Americans that were in my club the other day, and I got up to some ridiculous number like 50 from different levels. But they're legit All-Americans, not, the national championships are a dime a dozen. They're not Tulsa, they're not Reno Worlds, they're not Super 32, they're not Fargo, they're not USA Wrestling Nationals, but we have a lot of talent. This group that just came, this freshman group that just went in, I have a group of kids underneath them that are going to even overshadow this group of kids that I have coming up right now that are in the high school level.
Yeah,
it's really encouraging to see, and we need rivalry. Too many people in the wrestling world make rivalry a negative thing. We need each other, and we need that rivalry.
Well, the thing is with wrestlers, especially the rivalry ends after the match. Because then they're good sports and they wrestle with each other. And if they're not wrestling each other, they're rooting for that person. So, and the same thing, with us, coming through again, we're wrestling, you want to beat them and everything. But after that, it's all hugs.
It's usually not the kids. Usually you don't have a problem with the kids or the wrestlers. It's usually the parents and some of our coaches.
Sometimes.
Taking some of that stuff. I have a few coaches that absolutely hate male Quanchu, and I never bother them at all. But they have kids some of the coaches are telling their kids they have to quit male Quanchu. Like, to me, that's ridiculous. You're putting your pride ahead of what's good for a kid. And I don't care what club people go to, because we need rivalry. Without that, iron sharpens iron. Without that rivalry, we're not going to get where we need to go either.
Right, for sure. And we talked about one of the most exciting matches, in where you had two All-Americans wrestling each other, in Joyce and Myers. Now, Joyce was, he was state champion last year at 106, and Myers was a finalist last year. So
Joyce is an absolute stud.
He really is.
I can guarantee you how he's going to handle this loss, right? He's going back to the drawing board. I guarantee you. I actually talked to his mother for a little while today. He's ready to rock and roll. Sometimes loss is the best thing these kids can have.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need to win every single thing. I can tell you that when Gabriel lost in the finals of New England's, that catapulted him to go on and win Reno Worlds, right? So we can't take a loss negatively, and we got to teach these kids how to really take a loss and feed off of it instead of letting it keep you down. You need that rivalry. You absolutely have to have it, and if you have it and you use it in a positive way to fire a kid up, I mean, that's great.
Yeah, that's fuel. That's fuel for the fire for sure, and that's an excellent point. It's what we should definitely be doing, and I think Jacob Joyce really planned that match well. He was down 1-0. He ended up getting the reversal there with about 30 seconds left. And at that point, I was like, oh, wow, okay. That was well played because when you got a Jacob Joyce riding you, that's going to be very tough. But when you have Hayden Myers underneath you, apparently that's tough to hold on as well. But we have a clip of that. If my showrunner tonight is Nick LeBlanc. He is related to Matthew LeBlanc. I was busting him up about that earlier. But we do have a clip of that. We have two clips. We have the reversal part, and then we have a clip of the aftermath with 27 seconds left, when I was like, "Ooh, this is going to be tough." He's down by one. He's got to get that one to escape. So, Nick, if you can pull that up, if that loaded. I know we were having some technical difficulties earlier, which is the reason for the late start. But if we can pull that up, if we can find it, and if it
Look for backs here. You're on top. Remember.
Coaches are like a little panicky now. 27 seconds left. He's got to get his one here.
Everything is right. Let's go. Let's go. Up right away.
And now with 27 seconds left, we're going to go to part 2 of that clip.
You're out. You're out.
At 126.
Wow.
Well, thankfully, Hayden Myers' best position is bottom.
Yeah.
It is 100% his best position. He is hard to hold down.
Wow. Jeez. You couldn't plan that. Couldn't write that any better. I mean, it literally, you saw the towel person come out. There was literally seconds left. And he got that reversal, one swipe. That's all he got. But you know what? That's all he needed. And there was like 3 seconds left when this happened.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. I'll tell you what about Hayden Myers. When he first came to me, I was just talking about this tonight. He did not win one match for 2 years. Not one. Went 2 straight years. You will never meet a harder worker than Hayden Myers. That kid, Sunday morning for national team practice, Hayden Myers was one of only 4 or 5 kids that ended up showing up for the national team practices. You will never find a better example of hard work than that kid. He is, anytime I say, you want to do this, you want to do that, he's on top of it. Whatever it is, a private lesson, an extra practice. If I opened the door at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, he'd probably be the first kid to show up through the door. I can't say enough about him and his character and what he's had to go through compared to a lot of kids to win. He was literally one of the worst athletes in my room.
That's unbelievable.
He is always there, always. He almost lives at Mayo Quanchi. You cannot ask for a better kid to win that particular match. I don't know how he didn't get outstanding wrestler. Not to take anything away from Nick Klein because he's unbelievable. He is clearly our most decorated wrestler. But that was the match of the night.
Yeah.
Gabriel had a dominant match against the senior there, Shartner. But I don't say that Gabe should be the OW. It definitely should have gone to Hayden. That was just a match of a lifetime. He'll never forget that match.
It really was, and it was the most exciting match of the night. And again, I was thinking the same thing, not taking anything away from Nick Fine, but that was, expected. When it becomes the unexpected, it should turn.
That was an exciting match.
Oh, it was so great. It was absolutely wow.
When you give you goosebumps seeing a kid do that at the end of the match, it was a good feeling. I mean, you hate to see somebody lose. That's another good wrestler, but he pulled it off. He deserved it.
The sportsmanship there at the end as well. From Joyce.
Mike Joyce was amazing. He walked over to Charlie, shook his hand. You know it. Like, I've been on that stage where my kids have lost, and I know exactly how he feels and how jumbled up inside you get. For him to walk over to Charlie like a gentleman and say, good match, just speaks volumes of his character. I don't like the way everybody roots against Ponagansett. I'll just say that outright. Like, I think Mike Joyce is a great guy. His wife is an amazing person. They have a great family. They work their butts off. I mean, they sacrifice so much for the sport. And we need a lot more people. We need a lot more people like that in the sport that are just willing to sacrifice and put these kids ahead of everything. And, even you see when people get negative and they allow the kids to get negative. I just don't like that. I don't mind rivalry. I don't mind cheering on your teammates, but I don't root against somebody because they're a winner.
And you shouldn't. You shouldn't. Right. It's a bad message to send.
That being said, I mean, you're going to still see a lot of years of Ponagansett coming up and doing what they got to do. They've got a lot of energy still, and my hat's off to them for always just bringing the game. Right? I mean, these guys have been putting in the work that they need to put in, and it's a huge win for Hayden. Obviously, I'm rooting for my guy. Right? There's no doubt about it. But I have absolute respect for Jake and his family and the whole thing and the whole team.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Mike Joyce, one in a million, great coach, great mentor, does a lot of the homework to make sure these kids, take the courses they need to take and look beyond high school and making sure they're getting their stuff and done. It's just an incredible coach, an incredible man, and a great friend as well. But we do have Hayden Myers with us tonight. Let's bring him up into the mix and get his thoughts on it and all that. Hayden, thanks for staying up late despite the difficulties getting the show off the ground tonight. One of the most important shows I see, with the state championship just happening 2 days ago.
Hey, Hayden came off of 2 practices together. I mean, today already. He did the wrestling, and he was actually coaching the little kids. And then he had his judo practice. And then he went right home to go and get on the show.
And I know. I talked to him. He was for the viewers. I called Serge and I said, I need to talk to Hayden, and he's like, hold on, let me get him off the mat. And he had a practice earlier in the afternoon, and then he had a 5 to 8 practice going on, and with coaching the kids and all that. And I just thought, wow. Well, there's the reason right there. Say no more. And then he leaves the practice, and he's ready to come on the show and talk about his match and his thoughts and where he came from and where he's going. So, Hayden, you're a sophomore, and a hell of a wrestler. You put a lot of work in. I hear that from everybody, and you definitely got it going on in the role model. So, welcome to the show, and everybody, Hayden Myers.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. And obviously it was unexpected for me to win, but I only had a little doubt in my mind. I knew that we both were amazing wrestlers, and it was just a 50-50 of who wanted it more that day.
Right. And you're at 120 pounds. How hard is that for you to make? Is that pretty easy? I mean, you float around there, or is it really difficult for you to make?
Well, at the beginning of the season, when we had all the national tournaments, I was wrestling 113 for all of them, and my natural body weight was like mid-20s. So to cut to 22, it wouldn't be that hard. No. But we had a small little break for like 8 days in between meets, and I had a free weekend, and all of a sudden my body weight shot up to mid-30s. So to make weight for the states was a little bit harder.
Yeah. Yeah, it was hard for you. It was hard for Jacob as well. So I mean, it was an even playing field for both of you guys. As far as like, I didn't really feel anybody had a huge advantage there. But being that Jacob was he's ranked 15th in the country, and it was just. Everybody was kind of leaning Jacob on that one.
Well, if you look at it on paper,
yeah,
Jacob just placed higher than Hayden did at the national NHSCA. So you have to go, statistically what the paper says for people saying choose who you think. But I knew that Hayden could beat Jacob. Even Mike Joyce knew that. They had the tiger by the tail. There's no doubt about it. They knew, and
on any given day,
sure. That match can go either way.
Either way, and we've been in so many matches that happened where
that's why we wrestle the matches, right? You wrestle the matches. You don't go by paper. You got to wrestle the match.
Well, coaches, and I hate to do this, but I always find myself doing this. I always start playing out the match on paper. You have to. I mean. As a coach, try to figure it out and figure out where you got to place who and who's wrestling where. And for me, I just wrestle everybody at their weight, and that's it. There's not too much jumbling around unless I feel the kid's going to get hurt against somebody, and then I might sit a guy. But I didn't have to worry about too much about that this year because I only had 6 varsity wrestlers, and everybody else was second and third string. So. Out of those 6, 5 placed, so I was really happy with what we did. But again, Hayden, your match was so exciting, and I thought, with 30 seconds left, I was like, wow, well played by Jacob to get that reversal with only 30 or so seconds left and have you down in the bottom. But like, Coach said, your best position is bottom, so I just couldn't believe it. I was so stunned, and I think you just stunned the whole gymnasium there, and just we couldn't believe it. I still am jumbled up. I don't even have words to say like, wow, I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah, Hayden is like trying to hold an eel. It's unbelievable. I don't know how he does it.
Right.
Gabriel talks about it all the time. It's like that kid is so hard to hold down. Like it's hilarious because I get to see Hayden and Gabriel go at it every single week. Right? It's fun to watch. It's a lot of fun. They get a little chippy with each other once in a while, but then they're great friends after. Like you got to see them in practice trying to kill each other sometimes. Like, all right, guys, it's a practice. That's
great, and it's nice to have great wrestling partners to go with. And so, Hayden, how many hours a day do you train, or how many practices a week, I should say, do you put in, and how many hours are those practices?
Well, during the high school season, I'll practice high school from 2:30 to 5:30, and then I'll sprint over to Mayo and practice from 6 to 8 every day, Monday through Friday, and then Saturday I'll have 3 hours of Mayo Quanchi and then another 3 hours of high school practice. So, like since I said, I kind of live at Mayo.
Right. So, that sounds like 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
If you know why he does 6 hours?
Why?
Because 7 are not available.
Right. Well,
I'm not kidding. He's always there.
That's like kind of Olympic level training.
When you love it, you'll never burn out. People talk about burnout. Kids don't.
That's my next question. Like, are you worried about burnout?
Burnout's never in my mind. Obviously, like there's some days where you don't want to go to practice, but then you think about your tournaments that you have coming up. You have weight that you need to lose, and there's always some motivation to get to practice.
Hayden, tell these guys how long of a stretch you went without winning one match.
So I went 2 years without really scoring a point unless I was cut. like if I was caught on bottom, then that was the one time I would score a point. So, but to win a match, that was probably at least 2, maybe 3 years. It was
3 years
awful.
without winning a match. And wait, what age did you start wrestling?
4.
At 4. So 4, 5, 6. You didn't win a match where you were like.
What age
No,
did you come to Mayo Quanchi?
I think I went in like 5th grade, but at first I started off winning, and then somewhere in the middle of like elementary school, I did not win anything. And then I went to Mayo and I started scoring points, and then I started winning matches.
So did you want to quit at that point?
Yeah. My plan was to get to middle school and then quit because I just wanted to wrestle 1 year longer than my dad just to say I did. But once I started to win, then I started enjoying the sport. Well,
right.
I enjoyed the sport a lot more once I started winning. I always loved the sport.
Right. Well, I mean, this is a great message for those out there that, lose and lose and lose and lose, taste a little bit of that winning, and then, lose. Just, you got to push yourself. You got to push harder. Someone out there is always pushing harder. If you want to get to that championship level, you definitely have to work. You have to put the work in. And not saying that everybody has to wrestle year round, because you don't. There are guys out there that win state championships, not wrestling year round. But I'm going to tell you right now, like I tell my guys, that if you're not wrestling year round, and you wrestle up against someone who's wrestling year round and going all over the country wrestling these tournaments, that it's going to be very tough to beat that person. So while you're here in the room, you better work above and beyond to try to catch up for lost time, because there's definitely lost time there. So, what's your diet looking like? Like, how do you fuel yourself before a match? Or I know you're cutting some weight now, so it's very limited. You eating just, very lean protein and, some roughage and maybe a little bit of vegetables with nothing on it except for a little spice. But generally, what are you looking at, like maybe the night before a match or after weigh-ins?
Well, after weigh-ins, the first thing I have, I drink immediately. I'll have 1 Gatorade or Powerade per water so that my sugar levels aren't super imbalanced, because usually I'm only drinking water during cutting season. And then when I eat, it's fruit. And for some reason, I just like Cheerios, and then I'll have a Subway sandwich. But my parents have always forced me to not have anything greasy before I wrestle, because that just slows you down. And I look at people eating greasy food, and now it just makes my stomach hurt.
Right. Yeah, definitely stay away from the greasy food before a wrestling match. That will not be good. Well, whatever you got going on, it seems to be working for you. What's next for Hayden Myers?
Well, right now I'm going to Fargo, which is a freestyle tournament in a month. So, but I'm not that. 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just a little over 2 weeks. We leave July 15th.
Well,
I'm glad you know it now, though. I'm glad. It's probably a poor coaching moment, I'm telling you.
You heard it here, folks.
I booked your plane tickets, too, so I'm positive you're leaving in 2 weeks.
Wow. Well, wait.
I'm going to have to bump up to 126. I can't make weight for 122 again.
Right. Okay.
He doesn't need to. The off-season stuff, like Fargo, we're going there to get better, right? So there's a lot of events that you go to. You're not necessarily saying, hey, I'm going to go win Fargo.
Right.
We're going to get better, and we're going to put our hands on as many people as we possibly can and see where we're going. Then we're going to take those videos. We're going to go back to the drawing board and say, look, this is what we have to improve on. So I push the kids. Like Gabe moved from 26 to 32 right away. I didn't wait. I'm not a big Hayden. How often do you hear me tell anybody to cut weight?
I've never.
I'm more about hey, let's get strong.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Same
Get
philosophy.
strong. Don't be lazy. Work your butt off.
So is Eric.
Actually, this year, our entire team, it was funny when we wrestled against you guys in Coventry. I looked at some of my wrestlers, and you guys looked like you had 10 pounds on them. I was like, holy cow, these kids look big compared to my guys. But all of our guys were actually wrestling up a weight class for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them kind of grew into the weight class, just eating their way up during the season. I think the only guy we had that lost a little bit of weight was Ethan Bland. Other than that, everybody was kind of giving up a few pounds, even at the state tournament. But so it was one of those years with Corona and everything going on. I really didn't want to take a chance of kids having to add something else that was driving them crazy to the mix. Some of the guys were distance learning, not seeing friends, not being able to interact with people. I tried to keep it as simple as possible this year and see what happened. And luckily, it actually worked out for some of the guys.
Leading causes of injuries: lack of sleep, lack of nutrition.
Yeah.
Yep. You have to have the right nutrition.
And I definitely push the nutrition on the guys. I give them a nutritional blueprint, which is, I put together, and it's like a 70-page document on how to do it right and how to maintain, how to lose, how to gain. But that's why we look bigger, because, I'm pushing to get bigger and stronger rather than to cut weight. So, really important. The only one actually kind of cut weight this year a little bit was Luke Montefusco. And it took a toll on him. He was a kid who wrestles. Luke. I mean,
he came in and he was talking to me about it, and I told him, you're not eating the right food. Because a guy can go down to 6% body fat and it won't bother him at all. Literally, if you're eating the right food, if you have the right diet, the right balanced diet, and you're burning the calories. Listen, a lot of people. I want to go back for a second before I finish what I was just going to say. If you worry about burnout in wrestling, your burnout doesn't come from wrestling. You're never going to burn out wrestling in the room as a kid. It's not going to happen. Your burnout comes from the mental stress of things like cutting weight and not getting enough sleep. That will mentally stress a kid because the hypothalamus part of their brain is not even developed enough to handle stress. And the hypothalamus is what controls your stress. That does not even develop in a man until he's in his mid-20s. So with these kids, it's really important that we push, you might have to cut for an event, but long-term cutting is just, it's bad. It's bad for our kids. They're all growing. They're doing the most growing of their lives at that point in time. So we got to make sure that they have the proper nutrition, right? Otherwise, they will burn out. But the burnout isn't coming from wrestling. You can wrestle all day long. You can train as hard as you want. The human body is amazing. The harder you push it, the more it's going to flourish. But if you're not giving it the proper nutrition to repair itself, and you're putting all that kind of mental stress on kids, and kids are stupid. They're going to stay up till 12 o'clock at night, and then they're going to get 5 hours of sleep, and they're going to go to school all day. They're going to cut the weight, and then they're going to go to practice. No matter how many times you say it, right? It's a fact of life that a lot of these kids are just going to stay up late at night. So you're compounding the lack of nutrition with lack of sleep. And the hydration cutting too is a lot of people cut weight the wrong way. They'll try to cut all water. That's why you see kids dying in wrestling. They're not dying of lack of nutrition. They're dying from lack of water. Being hydrated is so important in our sport.
Yeah. So he just had a tough time with that, but he made the weight and he made all state, made podium. So we're really, really proud of him for that. So back to Hayden, you're going up a weight. You're going to be able to eat the right things, like Coach said. Like we all preach to make sure that you're getting good fuel, especially when you're going on your level, and you're going to put your hands on as many people as possible. And winning at this point on those tournaments is just the outcome of hard work. It's not a necessary thing, but it's just a thing that when it happens, it's just like, wow, great. You're on the right path, and you should be doing the right things and, eating the right things and fueling your body with the fuel that's going to make you grow bigger, stronger, and be able to move, faster and more efficiently. So nice job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we won't hold you up anymore. Again, it's getting late, so you should probably be getting some sleep. 2 weeks, you're going to be going to Fargo. So let's start that good sleep habit and continuing now, even though it's summer. You were definitely an inspiration. Your hard work shows and pays off. Everything you're doing is right, and giving back and helping to coach kids that obviously look up to you is also commendable and admirable. So keep that up too, man. It's all working for you, and you did a great job. Congratulations again on the state championship and the win. Just absolutely amazing, man.
It's fun to watch. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night's sleep. And we're going to go to a short commercial break, and then we're going to come back, and we're just going to talk a little bit more and finish things up here on Snapdown Wrestling with Fans Only Sports Network. I'm your host, Tommy Lynch, and we will be right back.
See you tomorrow.
Pharmaceutical company Prevacus says their new concussion medication Prevacol helps repair nerves and promote cell growth.
We can get the drug in the brain in less than 5 minutes. And our plan is, when we get that diagnosis on the field of play, give the drug nasally, get it in the brain quickly. When it gets in the brain, it actually gets into the nucleus of your brain cells, and it reduces swelling, inflammation, and oxidative stress at the same time.
When Jake and I first talked about this many years ago, one of my first questions was, will this help me? And he goes, no, this is for treatment immediately when a concussion, or you think a concussion has occurred.
Yeah.
The acute problems that exist later on in life, if we can take care of these at an early age and start getting some of these things to our children and grandchildren, and I think we can make this game, our game, football, a safer place.
And so the whole goal is we're trying to make the game safer. And so Odyssey and this drug, we believe, can be a game changer in so many different ways. Yes, on the football field, in the game of football, because that's where my passion lies, but also in the game of life.
All right. And we are back with Snapdown Wrestling with our coaches, Serge Boysu, and our state championship coach, Eric Francis of Mount Hope. Again, congratulations on that feat. And Serge, congratulations on having so many kids under you that are doing such great things in the sport. I, for one, do not discourage kids from going to other clubs. What I do discourage, as you know, is that when they come back and we say, hey, we need you to work on this, and you're like, oh, I worked on that same exact thing in my other practice. Well, that's great. Now you get to double it up. And I know you're a big advocate for not having them come and say to their
high school coach, keep your mouth shut. High school
Just
coach
do it.
Do it.
I don't care if you did
Stand on your
it
head.
50 times over there. You're going to do it another 50 times here.
That's great.
What? That's a bonus for you.
You have no idea how many times that has happened over the years. They'll go and tell another coach, well, Coach Serge says do it like this. I'm like, please don't ever say that to your coach. If he tells you to do it a certain way, just do it.
Right. Different styles. You have to try all these different things, because sometimes it'll work for you, sometimes it don't. We understand that. I certainly understand that. If that worked for me, well, it's not working for you. Try to keep drilling it. Maybe it'll catch, but if it doesn't, well, that's fine. Do it another way. Adapt it to your own style. I don't care. I'm not going to take it personal. So it's just to let you know, to let the Jarrell brothers know over at Iron Faith that, I'm all for these guys going there. I encourage it. I think you come to my practice, and then you go to another practice. Why would I ever frown on that? I used to do the same thing. I would go to several different practices. Eric, you did too.
Yeah, I totally agree, Tommy. I know you and I have very similar styles, having wrestled together, as younger guys. But I also look around the state, and like Serge had said, there's so many people who seem like they're afraid of competition. I mean, I love competition. I mean, you love competition. There are times where you and I can be crazy in a match. But at the end, it all comes down to we want what's best for our kids. And if my kid wants to go out and wrestle at 5 different clubs, I encourage it. I encourage him to say, Coach, Serge showed me this, or Colin showed me that, Tommy showed me this. Everybody has different styles, different techniques. That's how how you become better.
Most of the legit guys, honestly, don't tell their kids not to come. It's usually coming from the schools that are not doing as well. I know this at Scituate. I don't tell kids they have to come to Male Quanchi. I mean, obviously, if they want to go to Male Quanchi, great. But if they told me I want to go to a different wrestling club from my own high school, go ahead. Go ahead. It's our second year as a team. We did pretty good. I don't want to be D3 anymore. The problem with D3 especially is that most of the people don't have full lineups. So a lot of people are, missing matches. And to me, it's about getting as many. If we're going to get our kids where they need to be, they need as many matches as possible.
For sure. That's why you should send Gabe over to Cranston West so he can wrestle D1 and get as many matches as possible. We'll take Gabe. Don't worry about it. We'll take good care of him.
Caitlin and Serge went to Cranston West for a little while.
What's that?
Caitlin went to Cranston West.
That I know, yeah.
Coached at Cranston West.
Yeah.
But there was a few things that happened, and I couldn't be there anymore. So
yeah.
Mike Serge didn't want to be there, so he came back to Scituate, and he ended up winning states that year at Scituate and wrestling independent, and he could only train basically at Male Quanchi. But he had a tough field that year with Ebba Jarrell in it, and Travers was in it, and he had some tough kids. That was at 138 that year. That was 2013. That's when I switched back and just said I didn't really want to coach high school. I like doing the club team stuff, but then Gabriel was going to high school, and I knew what happened with West didn't fit well for me and the kids. So I approached the school and said, you guys want to start a new program? I'll coach it. I'll do whatever I need to do. And basically we built the program for the kids that I have coming in, because we had a lot of Olympic hopeful kids coming in at the time. And with COVID, that's all done. I only have one athlete that's Olympic hopeful living at my house, and she's out of high school. So I'm probably not going to do any more Olympic hopeful kids in their future. And I'll just coach at Scituate until my time is done, and then I can happily retire from there.
Right. Well, I mean, you're a great coach. Obviously, you're a next level coach. You're an Olympic level coach in my eyes and in a lot of people's eyes. So, I mean, give your heart and soul. Huh?
I'm not loved by everybody, that's for sure.
well, listen, you don't have to be, and nobody is. Just keep doing what you're doing, and a lot of heart, a lot of passion. I mean, you live for the sport. You could travel all over the place with these kids. I mean, it's just
I love
absolutely amazing. It's unprecedented. I mean, who does that? I mean, I wish I could do that. I can't, but I feel that I will also get to that level. I'm just going to have to ride on your coattails a little bit and saying like, hey, what's your schedule looking like this year? And we'll try to make those tournaments as well. Because why not?
Everybody has a home at Male Quanchi. I accept every coach unless you're a dope. If you're doing the wrong things by the kid.
Yeah. And,
it's real quick, but you guys are always welcome to come in. I'd love to have you. We have a training camp coming up.
About spot on too about the Division III stuff. I totally agree with you. Having coached in Massachusetts, and we were supposed to be D3 all those years at Somerset, and we kept them at D2, and that's what helped build the team, is actually competing against full teams. See, every kid gets a match, not going to somewhere and you wrestle 2 or 3 guys and that's it. That's a tough situation, because
that's why we had to bump weights a little bit this year. Not that I had any kids cutting or I was trying to win dual meets. We were moving our athletes around just so they could get a match.
Right.
So one of my kids, my 138, a lot of times he'd have to wrestle 45 or even 52. We had to get him Caden Freitas. Unfortunately, we were at a freestyle tournament, headlocks on the Hudson, and he dislocated his shoulder, so he wasn't able to compete at states. But if I had a lineup, we might have been higher than 11th. But 11th's not bad for a second-year team that's actually a D3 team.
great.
Take it.
I think things are looking up overall in the state. Like you said, there's a lot of good guys out there, promoting the sport, and you're definitely one of them. Tommy, you're another one of the guys, and I think if everybody gets on the same boat where we build the whole state up, the guys who want to be competitive, that's what's going to make this state a great wrestling state, is wanting to compete with the best people out there, not wanting to be the best of the worst.
My son-in-law, Stephen Jarrell, is doing a great job starting to build that program over there, too, Iron Faith. Him and my daughter, and his brother, Evan. And he's got a few other coaches there, too.
Yeah. But, like you said, first of all, going back to, next season, you're going to be able to wrestle out of league, because usually we have some out of league matches set up. The tournaments are going to be back in play. So you're going to get some wrestling for your athletes. But this year it was just so tough. And of course, I would imagine everybody's trying to bump around Gabe, so it must have been so hard for him to get a match, being in, Division III as well.
You know what's really funny? He's the only that got a match every single match at weight this year.
That's amazing, because you would think people would want to bump around and be scared, and you shouldn't be scared of who it is. And Hayden Myers proves that, but just by going up against a guy who's nationally ranked and who's All-American, and not that Hayden isn't, but even he said there was just a little bit of a shadow of a doubt in his mind, but he was able to overcome that. So don't ever be afraid, even if the kid beat you before.
There was only one match that Gabe had the coach say, "No, you're not wrestling that kid." I take that back. It wasn't every single one. He only had one that said he didn't. I'm not going to say who it was. It doesn't matter.
I don't blame you. I don't blame it. But a good example of that, and I got one more clip to show, and we're still going to chop it up. I don't care how far we run over or how late we started. As long as you guys want to hang, we're going to hang. But I probably got about 10 minutes left.
I'll talk wrestling all night, Tommy.
All night long. What we live for.
Talking about not being afraid, there was a match when we wrestled NK. Noah Pullian, who's a great kid and wants to wrestle more, and you're probably going to see him wrestling year round as well. But he's an amazing football player as well. When we went up against NK, he was getting beat pretty decently, and then got pinned in the third period, and comes back in the States and wrestles against Dela, who's the number 2 seed. And Nick, do we have that clip of the Noah Pullian match? We can pull that up. Look for that.
Let's go, Noah! Yeah! Yeah! Let's go! Come on! Come on! Yeah! Yeah! Hey, Sam, don't ever bang the mat.
Okay, so that was that was the 2 seed, Dela from NK, getting pinned in 25 seconds with a hip toss.
I saw the toss. I was like, yeah, baby.
Yeah. And there's, a kid who got beat by that kid, who got pinned and was, handled. And that, that was it. Never be afraid. Always go out there knowing that you can win the match. And what was so funny was that his father was, screaming, obviously it was just makes me laugh. Yeah, no, so guys, go out there. Don't be afraid of who it is. Don't care what their rank is. Don't care if they're a world champion. Every day is a different day, and you can take it to that person. And in fact, when the odds are swung that way, you've got nothing to lose.
I have to agree, Tommy. I know over the years when we wrestled, there wasn't all the social media, all the you can look up anything now on computers and find out what somebody's done and accomplished. We'd walk into a room and you heard a little something about somebody who might be good, but I know we never cared when we stepped on the mat. It was just you're a wrestler at that point. You tie up with somebody. I used to encourage all the kids back when we were in mass, like, don't look at mass wrestling. Don't look at rankings. It doesn't matter. Everybody puts their shoes on, their singlet on. We all go, we train hard. If you're prepared, just do what you do and let the other guy worry about what you do. That's the thing.
Anything can happen on match day.
Yeah.
Anything can happen on match day.
100%.
One of the things that Matt Clayson was great at was dual meet strategy. He literally knew what every wrestler was doing on every other team, who would match up well against him. He was really good at that. I don't even look at it. I tell my kids, we're not doing that. We're running a straight lineup. You are going to wrestle every match that you possibly can, and we're going to worry about getting better. But, that's just my style of doing it. We just want to get better. But if you want to win every dual meet, I mean, I guess you have to be a great dual meet strategist.
And he did, and he wanted to, and he did. You were part of all of that, the 2005 to 2009 dynasty of Cranston West, where you guys won 4 state championships in a row and were undefeated dual meet record of 72-0. So that worked, and Matt, was great, a great coach when it came to that. But I thought that you guys were a great team and really built that program to an amazing level.
We did have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We used to call us the trifecta. We had so much fun with those kids on that team. And I had a lot of dojo kids. And that was the first real group of kids that I had moved in. I never even wanted to be a wrestling coach. So that was the first big group of kids that I had. And just so happens I had a lot of them go to Cranston West, Everett, Recondo and stuff. And my kids, Caitlin, Serge, and Giblin was already there. But, I used to drag those kids around the country, mainly for judo. Everett didn't even start doing, and Recondo and all those kids, they didn't start doing judo wrestling really, until they were in high school. I'd take them to a few events during the year, but they were so dedicated to judo, along with Josiah Fry and Mason. They didn't even want to wrestle. Mason Clark and Josiah Fry didn't want to wrestle. I had to literally force Josiah to wrestle.
Amazing.
I have to say, it was great wrestling.
But he still, 80% of the stuff he does on a wrestling mat is all judo.
Right.
To this day, and I just try to tell him, you're gonna wrestle. But he's another one. They got back. Now they're D1 wrestlers. They could have been doing anything with their life. They went right to that state meet to support all the kids that they went to Mayo Quanchi with, and high school at Coventry. It was just like unbelievable to see. And I look at them saying, like, these are the next coaches of the future, which I don't know if they'll stay in Rhode Island. They most likely won't, but we need to encourage the younger guys to come up and coach and continue to grow wrestling and get back to wrestling. And that's really how we're going to grow.
For sure. And it was great to see those guys there. Like you said, seeing Josiah, seeing, Mason to come back where they can be doing anything. And that's when the greats, just not the great wrestler, but the great person inside. And I used to come back to the state tournaments, well after I was out, and even out of state, would come back for state New England tournaments. Even when I lived in Las Vegas, I would fly back to come to it, and coaching for many years, and it's great.
You had that hair, the perm all the way down to here, Tommy. Remember that?
Yeah, when I was Flavio.
I saw the lats were coming in through the Cranston West doorway. I could see you from a mile away, buddy. But that was one of the things. We would travel to go wrestle at the Cranston West tournament because we knew what a great team that you guys had there. And we came in from Somerset. I told the guys, I said, that's a team. You guys better be aware that if you grab a hold of them, you may be going for a ride. Because it was always fun to see somebody get tossed, and then the guys, oh, that's what coach is talking about.
Nice. It was funny this weekend. The kid kept grabbing onto that front headlock with Gabriel, the North Kingston kid, and he really actually wants you to grab that front headlock so he can tie up with you.
Shartner, yeah.
Yeah, he went flying. Did you see that video clip, the little clip, that throw he did to him? I said, that kid's never seen that in his life.
Yeah. I wish we had that match. I didn't have that match, but I definitely watched that match. And
it's no big deal. But
it was a clinic. It was a clinic. I mean, he teched him. It was, well, let's run the numbers. 106 pin, 113 7-1, 120 3-2, 126 pin, 132, 18-5.
Yeah, it wasn't 18-5. It was a pin at the end, but they mocked it as.
Oh, right. Yeah, actually, he never got off his back, so it was a pin. So it was he teched him he got him to a tech to the point where then he pinned him, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. Yeah, again, clinic, picture perfect for him there at 132, 138, 3-0, and that was our guy Chris Gomez against.
And he closed that gap with Tim.
He did.
Chris put in the work. He's a hard worker. He's such a nice kid too. I was really hoping for him to pull it off.
Yeah,
I think that Tim Cook's real strong, and he kind of plays into that strength at times. Chris's strength is that he's like Gumby.
Yeah,
he's quick, and
right.
The worst thing for him is to tie up, but there's times that Tim just knew what he was doing, and you can't take it away from the kid. He's real tough. I would have
gloves in, and I know the feeling. I mean, because guys didn't want to tie up with me, I'd force them to tie up with me.
Yeah,
it was just my style, and Tim runs that same style. And I want you to tie up with me because I was looking to throw you. I mean,
I thought Tim and Gabriel would have been a very interesting match to watch with the tie up stuff. Because that's in his wheelhouse, but we'll never get to see that match.
No. And speaking of which, another interesting match, which would have been very interesting, which everyone wanted to see, is Grifka and Fun.
Yeah. That would have been.
We're expecting that.
Amazing athlete. That kid is just an amazing athlete.
Yeah, but both of them were looking for the 3-time state championship title, and I don't blame them. Obviously, if they go both at 82, then one's not coming out a champion. So.
I think if the two of those guys wrestle 10 times, you're probably looking at a 5-5 split, 6-5 split. I mean, watching the two of them, we had a partial match. I mean, unfortunately, Corey was coming back from a bad stomach issue he had when he was traveling. He came down from about 210 to 180 pounds, and we were trying to get him back to health. I mean, the probiotics and different things the doctors had him on was helping, but when he pushed himself, his blood sugar level would go off, different things would happen. Oh. And in that match, he ended up with a bloody nose, different things. It was a 1-0 match with only one escape. And the two of those guys, the short time, I mean, the 2 periods we got to watch them wrestle, I mean, that's something that, like the Rocky Balboa and what's his face there when they go Creed. Have their own, Apollo Creed in their own ring. That's something that I know the two of them have worked together at clubs. But I mean, it's a heck of a match to watch. Those two guys are very similar in a lot of ways. Their scrambling techniques, the way they wrestle. Yeah, it'd be a fun match.
We just want to see that.
Yeah. Nick Fine. I'm really impressed by Nick Fine because that kid, he comes from a great family. Obviously, everybody knows Rusty Carlston, his daughter, and his dad is really dedicated to wrestling. But Nick has had to work for what he's got. I mean, he's not a naturally talented kid. That's a kid, and his family has gotten behind him and helped him and done the right things with the kid. And he's clearly right now the most decorated kid in the state. He's going to Columbia University. Yeah, I mean that doesn't happen by accident. And I've seen some great matches between him and Mason. Obviously, Mason's still 132 or 133 in college now, and Nick's humongous, but my hats are off to all those people. They're just amazing wrestlers, and they've done really a lot. And is it true? I don't think Grifka even wrestles year round, does he?
No. I mean, he'll do some stuff, but he's not a total year round guy. He plays football.
Could you imagine?
I mean, it's nuts. Honestly, trying to grab a hold of Grifka in practice, it's almost impossible. It's like wrestling a grease pig. He just elbow passes, his motion. He's one of the few kids that to try, you can usually get somebody's timing if you watch them enough, their footwork. I mean, I've wrestled with him in practice, and I wrestled with a few guys that I had at Somerset. That went to one guy full boat to Drexel University, a few other guys that went D1, and Corey honestly was just one of those guys. To get a handle on him is almost impossible. It's a fun day at the office as a coach when you get to roll around with a guy like that. I mean, it's a good time.
Oh yeah.
let's get back to Jarrell, Ebbett, and Steven and talk about what they have going on, their program. I know they have a camp coming up. There's a couple of camps coming up.
They're doing some clinics, I think. I don't think it's.
Oh yeah, right. I'm sorry. It's definitely a 1-day clinic. It's on July 10th. So we're going to be posting that on Rhode Island High School Wrestling page on Facebook and throughout. But it's a 1-day clinic, and
I think it's Bryce Meredith or something that's doing it, right?
What's that?
I forgot who's doing it. I think it's Bryce Meredith.
That's right. Yeah.
I got Walkout coming to our camp. Unfortunately, if it's the 10th, it conflicts with our clinic camp.
It conflicts with my son's birthday party, so I'm not going to be able to make it. But I've done my share of camps. But so you have one coming on the 10th as well.
Mine's the 6th to the 14th.
6th to the 14th. Big Dog Wrestling Camp is going on as well. That's Jay-Woo's wrestling camp. It's Lonnie over there, Jay-Woo. That's Monday, July 19th to Thursday, July 22nd. So
I'll probably have some kids at that one.
You will have some kids at that one?
Yeah. I'll send some kids to that because I'll be away too. I'll be at Fargo with the kids.
Mm-hmm. Tommy, I'll get some information to you.
I have Steve Markow coming for our camp. Steve Markow is going to be there from the 8th to the 11th. He'll be there with his kids too. He's taking some other kids from Florida and his own children. So.
Okay, so 8th to the 11th over in Mayo Kwanji with Marco. And Eric, you just said.
I'll be getting you some information too, Mike. We just got an approval through grant money because we didn't have the middle school season to run some clinics at our school. And what we're doing is we're going to have Lonnie there for a day, Coach Jay Jones there. We're going to have Roger Williams, one of the Roger Williams coach. I'm not sure who exactly is going to be there. I'll be running a clinic one of the days. We want to try to get as many people involved with it. It's going to be, a very small, price for the thing. We're going to get a lot of the coaches in there. I will get you the information as soon as possible and see if you can put it out there. Mike Pereira just got the clearing for it, so it's something we want to try to promote. Not a lot of people from East Bay.
What's the dates?
What was that?
What's the dates?
Mike just set that up. I'm actually stepping down this year to the middle school. My son Eli decided he wanted to wrestle at middle school, so Coach Pereira will be taking over the Mount Hope wrestling team.
Okay, so good. You stepped down like Seinfeld on top.
Hey, you stepped down at the right time, right? You won. Now you can.
Yeah, I'd love to
down.
I'd love to stay up there, but my son Eli, he wants to start wrestling. I had coached him Mount Hope when Eric was there back in the day, and I want to do that. And then hopefully I can be dad and get to watch him wrestling in high school and not be on the edge of the mat.
Enjoy every minute.
Chew my fingernails off.
And every single minute. I've loved the ride. One of the things that I was blessed with is that Caitlin, Serge, Everett, kind of all those guys were like 10 years older than my last two kids. I started having kids again because I was like, I would have been.
We're both crazy, Serge. I don't know. Maybe we both did the same thing.
There's no doubt about it. But I wouldn't change it. The second ride was so much more pleasurable because I got so wrapped up in stuff that didn't even matter. For the first ride, it was not what it could have been. So the second ride, I've enjoyed every moment.
Awesome. Yeah. Coaching AAU baseball, regular baseball, wrestling, running the landscape business. I'm lucky I still have a head of hair this year. It's been difficult, but
he doesn't.
I'll be joining the club. I'll be getting the Bic razor out soon.
The club, not the hair club for men, but I have more face to wash than ever before. But we're all pulling our hair out and just losing it because of the wrestling and all of it. But well worth it. Love coaching. I'm so glad I'm back in the game. Looking forward to the next season, which, guys, is going to happen in 5 months. We're going to wrap it up here right now and finish off with talking about those wrestling camps. If I missed your wrestling camp and you got one, email me, message me on Facebook. I will get that information out or post it to the Rhode Island High School club that we have on Facebook as well. But Serge, Eric, my good friends, it's great to have you on. Great to chop it up with you and talk wrestling right after the state championship. And I could do this all night, but we got a late start, and we're already 2 hours. In another 6 minutes, it'll be 2 hours from when it was supposed to start. And I'm sure I got people at a computer that are like sleeping and drooling on themselves, but maybe not.
It's always a pleasure to talk wrestling, buddy.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Serge.
Thank you, Serge, for taking the time. Eric, you too. Again, congratulations on your state championship. And thank you guys for staying up with us and putting up with us and watching Snapdown Wrestling with Tommy Lynch. We're here each and every Monday night starting at 9:10 usually, but sometimes a little earlier and sometimes a little later. Just hang in there, check your computer, and
Tommy, I will be one of the first guys to congratulate you when you achieve that same accomplishment, buddy. Oh, I'll be right there with you, cheering you on. Even if I'm in a Mount Hope shirt, I will definitely cheer you on. I promise, bud.
Thank you, man, because I feel it's coming. I hope it's coming. We're definitely preparing for it.
You will.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And thank you guys for tuning in and hanging with us here at Snapdown Wrestling, produced by Fans Only Sports Network. We'll see you next Monday night at 9:10. Thanks again. And guys, be safe. We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
See you, Tommy. See you, Serge.
Take care.